The planet had no name yet, only a survey code and a list of dangers marked in red. Jagged black mountains cut through the sky, and the ground shimmered with strange crystal dust that hummed softly under human boots. Captain Jackson Reed stood at the edge of a cliff, looking out over the alien valley below. He had seen many worlds before, but this one felt different. The air was heavier, almost watchful. Jackson was not a man who believed in instincts or fate. He trusted maps, scanners, and experience, yet something pulled at him, a quiet pressure behind his eyes, urging him forward. "Captain," one of the survey officers called from behind. "Scans show a structure beneath the rock shelf. Old, very old." "I'll check it out." The walls were smooth, covered in symbols that shifted when he moved past them. Jackson felt no fear, only focus. At the center of the chamber stood a pillar of dark metal floating slightly above the ground. As he stepped closer, the hum in the air deepened. His wrist console sparked and died. The lights in his helmet flickered. Then the pillar reacted. A thread of light shot out, wrapping around his forearm before he could move. Pain flared, sharp but brief, like lightning under his skin. Jackson shouted and fell back, tearing his arm free. The light vanished. Silence returned. Breathing hard, Jackson stared at his arm. Etched into his skin was a glowing symbol, intricate and alive, slowly pulsing like a heartbeat. It did not burn. It did not bleed, it simply was. "What the hell?" he whispered. By the time he staggered back to the surface, the mark had dimmed but did not disappear. Med scans showed nothing wrong, no radiation, no foreign material, just altered skin cells arranged in a pattern no one could identify. The human command ship ordered immediate evacuation. Within days, word spread. The Valorians arrived without warning. Their ships were silent, smooth like flowing water frozen in motion. They did not attack. They did not hail. They simply appeared in orbit and requested a meeting. Human leadership agreed cautiously. The meeting chamber was neutral ground, a wide circular hall aboard a human station. Guards lined the walls. Translators hummed softly. Jackson stood near the center, feeling exposed despite his uniform. When the Valorian delegation entered, the temperature seemed to drop. They were tall, slender beings with pale, almost luminous skin and eyes like liquid silver. Their movements were graceful, controlled, ancient. At their front walked a female, marked by deep blue lines along her neck and arms. Her posture was proud, but her gaze was sharp and searching. Her name, according to the translator, was Leora of the High Clade. She had not looked at the human admirals. She looked only at Jackson. Her eyes widened. The room went silent. Jackson felt the mark on his arm grow warm. Leora stepped forward slowly, her breath catching. Her hands trembled as she reached out, then stopped herself as if remembering protocol too late. Then she fell to her knees. The sound echoed through the chamber. Gasps erupted from both sides. Human guards raised weapons. Valorian attendants froze in shock. Leora bowed her head deeply, her voice low and shaking as she spoke words that took a second to translate. "You bear the binding mark," she said. "You are my mate." Leora lifted her head and looked at him, awe and fear mixed in her expression. "The mark chooses once in a generation," she said. "It binds two across fate, species, and time. It has never chosen your kind." Human command demanded explanations. The Valorians demanded Jackson be handed over for ritual confirmation. Neither side trusted the other. Jackson felt like the center of a storm he did not understand. The meeting ended without agreement. That night, Jackson was confined to quarters under heavy guard. Medical teams ran test after test. Nothing explained the mark. It remained steady, faintly glowing when he was calm, brighter when his thoughts raced. He stared at it for hours. Somewhere beyond human space, Valorian worlds were reacting. Ancient laws were being debated. Old fears were waking, and not everyone welcomed what the mark meant. The first attack came without warning. A small group of unknown ships breached the station's outer ring. Not Valorian. Not human, weapons fire tore through docking bays. Jackson was rushed through corridors as alarms screamed. Smoke filled the air, gravity flickered. "They're heading for you," a security officer shouted. "They know about the mark." Out of the smoke stepped figures in dark armor, weapons humming with energy Jackson had never seen before. Before the guards could react, the attackers moved with terrifying speed. Something inside Jackson snapped. The mark flared. Time seemed to slow. He moved without thinking, grabbing a fallen weapon, ducking, firing. His body reacted faster than his mind, every movement perfect, precise. The attackers fell back, surprised. From the far end of the corridor, blue light flashed. Leora appeared, flanked by two Valorian warriors. Her eyes locked on Jackson, relief washing over her face. Together, human instinct and alien precision drove the attackers away. They fled as suddenly as they had come, leaving only smoke and shattered metal behind. Silence returned, broken only by heavy breathing. Leora approached Jackson carefully. "They will keep coming," she said. "The mark makes you a target. Until I know you are safe." And it was watching closely. Jackson could still feel the warmth of the mark on his arm, pulsing softly like it had a heartbeat of its own. He stared at it while standing on the observation deck of the station, watching the alien stars flicker in the distance. Leora stood beside him, silent but steady, as if the universe itself could not shake her. "We need to move," she said finally, her voice calm but urgent. "They will not stop. Whoever sent those attackers knows about the mark. They want it, you. It is a bond, across worlds, across species. You have been chosen whether you want it or not, and that makes you part of something larger." Humans patrolled corridors with weapons, scanning every corner. Valorian warriors hovered in the air, moving with impossible grace. Jackson was kept under constant watch, but the attacks did not stop. Strange ships, unlike any known to human or Valorian fleets, kept appearing at the outer edges of the system. They attacked quickly and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Jackson and Leora began to investigate. The mark had a way of guiding him, a subtle pull toward certain locations, as if it had its own intelligence. Following it, they discovered the ruins of an old alien outpost buried beneath the icy surface of a nearby moon. Inside, the walls were lined with symbols like the ones that had appeared on Jackson's arm. Crystalline panels flickered to life when he touched them. Energy flowed from the walls into the mark, filling him with visions, flashes of distant planets, strange alien cities, and a looming presence that seemed to watch over everything. "This is incredible," Jackson whispered. "I've never seen anything like this." From the shadows emerged creatures Jackson had never imagined, tall, armored beings with glowing eyes, their movements precise and deadly. "Attackers?" he asked, raising his weapon. "They are guardians," Leora said, her voice tight. "Not enemies yet." Jackson felt a rush of strength and awareness unlike anything he had known. His body moved before his mind could process, dodging strikes and delivering counterattacks with uncanny accuracy. Leora moved beside him, her own abilities amplified by the connection between them. Together, they fought as one, human and Valorian, instinct and skill blended perfectly. When the last guardian fell, the outpost went silent again. Jackson sank to his knees, panting. The mark glowed faintly, almost exhausted. "That was intense," he said, looking at Leora. "I don't even know what I just did." "Every power has a cost." It pulsed warmly. "It's guiding us," he said. "I don't know where, but it knows." Jackson realized he could trust few, even among his own kind. The human military demanded to study the mark, hoping to weaponize it. Jackson refused. He could not allow them to turn what was a bond into a tool of war. Leora supported him, arguing that the mark's purpose was not violence but connection between species, between worlds. Then came the second attack. Unlike the first, it was coordinated. Rogue ships assaulted the colonies, targeting Jackson and Leora directly. This time they were ready. The mark guided Jackson to anticipate every strike, every movement. Leora's presence beside him amplified his awareness, and together they led the defense, saving hundreds of civilians. After the battle, Jackson realized that humans were not the only ones who could rise to this challenge. Ordinary people, when faced with extraordinary circumstances, could display courage and ingenuity beyond expectation. The HFY in him, humanity's strength, adaptability, and resilience, was no longer theoretical. It was alive. Leora studied him, admiration in her silver eyes. "You are not like the humans I have read about," she said. "You fight, you survive, and yet you choose. That is rare. That is worthy." Yet with each challenge, Jackson and Leora learned more about each other and about the power the mark gave them. One night, while the stars streaked past in faster-than-light travel, Leora spoke quietly. "I have lived for centuries, and I have never seen a mate chosen like this. You are the first human. That makes you special, dangerous, but also necessary." The attacks, the guardians, the abandoned ships, they were all part of a larger design. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries. Now, the mark had chosen a human to step into the center of a galactic destiny. As they approached the coordinates the mark had led them to, a planet larger than any human had charted came into view. Its surface shimmered with energy, alien cities glowing faintly under a violet sky. This was not a world meant for humans, yet the mark resonated strongly, as if it recognized home. They landed cautiously, weapons ready, scanning every movement. The planet was alive with energy, and the air hummed like the first chamber of the outpost. Ancient machines, dormant for millennia, began to stir as Jackson stepped forward. Leora held his hand, grounding him. "The mark brought us here," she said. "We are the first to step into its legacy together." Jackson's presence activated consoles, doors, and mechanisms. The planet seemed aware of him, welcoming him, testing him. And then a voice spoke, not aloud, but in his mind, a resonance that the mark transmitted. "You are the chosen. Protect the balance. Unite the strength of your kind. The galaxy watches." He was part of something larger, something that spanned species and worlds. He glanced at Leora, who smiled faintly, proud but cautious. The first part of their trial on this planet was over. They had survived attacks, learned to trust each other, and discovered that humanity was capable of more than anyone had imagined. But the planet itself, the ancient technology, and the forces that watched them promised that the real challenges were only beginning. Jackson clenched his fist, feeling the warmth of the mark, and said, "Then we face them, together." Together. They watched the human who bore the mark, and wondered if the species they had underestimated would rise to meet a destiny larger than the stars themselves. Jackson and Leora stood at the edge of the ancient city, the violet light of the alien sky reflecting off the tall, crystalline structures. The planet hummed softly, alive with energy that pulsed through the ground into their feet, through the air around them, and finally into Jackson's mark. It was stronger now than ever, glowing steadily with a heartbeat that seemed to match his own. "This place is incredible," Jackson said, taking a cautious step forward. "I've never seen anything like it." "What is it?" "The bond you share with the mark with me, it is stronger than we realize. That strength is needed now more than ever." The room was silent except for the faint hum of energy resonating from the mark. Then the voice came again, clear and commanding, filling the chamber in Jackson's mind. "The chosen have arrived. The balance is threatened. Stand together or fall alone." Someone seeks its power for domination. A rogue Valorian scientist, once a guardian, now a tyrant. He believes he can control the bond to rule all species. The rogue scientist had come, and his fleet was poised to destroy anything in their way. "We need to move fast," Leora said. "The planet will help us, but we have to reach the central core. That is where the power of the mark can be fully awakened." They moved through corridors that shifted as they walked, the city alive with a will of its own. Doors opened, walls rearranged, paths cleared before them. The guardians that had once attacked them were now dormant, silent watchers of the stronghold. As they approached the central core, they were ambushed. The rogue scientist himself appeared, a tall figure in flowing armor that shimmered like liquid metal. His eyes glowed faintly red, unnatural and cold. "So the human carries the mark," he said, voice echoing strangely in the chamber. "I expected less. With it, I can command not only your species, but all others. The galaxy will kneel." Jackson's mark flared brightly, flooding him with energy. He could feel the intelligence within it guiding him, amplifying his reflexes, his strength, his awareness. He moved, faster than thought, dodging attacks and countering with precision. Leora followed, her own abilities enhanced by the connection. Together, they fought like two halves of a single being, perfectly synchronized. But the rogue scientist was cunning. He twisted the machinery of the stronghold, turning the environment against them. Energy beams cut across the floor, walls shifted, and the chamber became a maze of death. "Jackson," Leora shouted, "the mark, focus on it, let it guide you." He felt the stronghold itself respond, opening new paths, shielding them from destruction, amplifying his strikes. His punches sent the scientist stumbling, his movements now matching the impossible speed of his adversary. They fought through chamber after chamber, each step taking them closer to the central core. The rogue scientist unleashed his full power, summoning machines and energy constructs that attacked from every direction. But Jackson and Leora moved as one. He ducked, she blocked, he struck, she guided. Every move was instinctual, every reaction perfect. Finally, they reached the central core. It was a massive chamber, circular, lined with crystalline conduits that pulsed with energy. The mark on Jackson's arm resonated loudly, and he could feel a connection to the city, the planet, and Leora. The rogue scientist followed, laughing coldly, but Jackson did not falter. The scientist lunged, weapons blazing. Jackson met him head-on, the mark flaring, the energy of the planet surging into him. He could feel strength unlike anything he had ever known, not just human strength, but something greater, ancient, intelligent, and alive. Leora moved beside him, placing her hand on his shoulder. "Together," she said. "Together," Jackson replied. The mark pulsed one final time. A wave of energy spread from Jackson's arm, filling the chamber. The rogue scientist screamed as the energy struck him, not destroying but overwhelming him. The machinery he controlled turned against him, the constructs collapsed, and the alien armor shattered. The rogue scientist fell to his knees, defeated, powerless against the bond that Jackson and Leora shared. Breathing heavily, Jackson looked at Leora. "We did it. The galaxy will test us again, but the first threat is over." Word of their victory spread quickly, and slowly the galaxy began to see humans not as weak, limited creatures, but as capable, resilient, and courageous. Humanity had proven itself. Jackson stepped onto a balcony overlooking the alien city. The violet sky stretched endlessly above them. He felt the mark pulse softly, and it felt alive, like a heartbeat that matched the rhythm of the universe. Leora joined him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "You were meant for more than just survival," she said. "The mark saw it before anyone else did." "Not while the bond exists." Jackson clenched his fist, feeling the mark's warmth. It was a promise, a responsibility, and a connection. The rogue scientist had been defeated, but challenges would come again. Other forces would test them. But now humanity had proven itself worthy of survival, of trust, and of respect. He looked at Leora and smiled faintly. "Then we continue," he said, "together." The alien city hummed softly beneath them. The mark glowed steadily. The galaxy watched, and humanity had risen. Far beyond, unseen, other civilizations took notice. A human had stepped forward, chosen by fate and by a bond older than any history. And for the first time, the stars themselves seemed to recognize that humans were no longer just explorers. They were guardians, capable of change, of strength, and of courage. The journey was not over. There would be battles, trials, and sacrifices. But for now, humanity had proven its worth. The mark had chosen its first human, and the galaxy would never forget.